Squaddies, what's up? Guys, it is here. The smoking gun. What we have been waiting for. The thing that will finally get Harry deported. Oh, sorry. As we rightly said, guys, the Nothing Burger has been released. And honestly, it's even worse than I thought. First of all, before I say anything, shout out to Zandy Sussex. Please follow her. She is absolutely divine and keeps us up to speed with the tea on X. Guys, let me quickly walk you through this mind-blowing release. Here it is, guys. Here it is. The smoking gun is out, guys. Guys, here's the smoking gun. Here it is. Woo! Oh my goodness. Wow. Harry's visa records have been released, guys. My goodness, the smoking gun is here. For those of you who want the full tea, I believe let me check. She's provided the link. Let me just quickly have a look and see how much of the redaction has been done. Let's see. Hopefully to open. Okay, so let's see. Oh, guys. Oh, no thanks. Go away. I think from what I can see here, let me see. It looked like, okay, 44 records. Guys, let's quickly see if there's anything to see here. Oh, wow. Guys, we're getting all the tea. Guys, we're getting all the tea. Guys, we're getting all the tea. Oh, my. Wow. Prince Harry. Okay. Public how the government is dealing. So this... Nothing until page 20, by the way. Public about how the government was dealing with the Duke. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying that depending on what the true state of affairs was, that may or may not be true. So my whole point in doing the ex parte discussion and submission was, rather than think about a set of hypothetical possibilities and whether each of them could possibly disclose some conduct by the government that one might want to know or whatever, was to know with certainty what actually happened and then to think through what disclosing that set of facts would harm by way of privacy interests and what it would what, if any, public interest it will follow forward. So while I have some of the trust set of facts right now, I don't have all of them, and I well understand that some of this information that we've been talking about is not at DHS. Mr. Bardo, that's correct. The court, I completely understand. Do I have authority, in your view, to require the executive branch to disclose that information to me by way of declaration or a brief or something like that? All of the relevant true state of affairs, even if one of the executive branch agencies is not a defendant, and even if one of the executive branch agencies that has relevant information at... Okay. Noise. Back to nothing again till page 23, guys. Declarations that lay out all of the relevant facts, even though that might require them to get information from a sister agency. Mr. Bardo, could I confer with Mr. Pfaffenroth? The court, yes, of course. Mr. Bardo, thank you. The court, of course. Discussion of the record. Mr. Bardo, so Your Honor, our position will be getting the State Department involved in this case will run far afield of what exactly plaintiff is seeking. We believe that the issue in this case is whether the Department of Homeland Security is lawfully withholding these records under Exemption 6 and 7. I have no idea what this is. Lawyers, you can respond. It's about plaintiff's request for these specific records. We would have to research whether the court is able to get another agency that's not involved in this case into this case, and we will need to take it up with the chain through various people at the state and at justice. But this case is really about whether the Heritage Foundation is entitled to these records. The court, no, I agree with that. Certainly, we're not talking about State Department FOIA production here. Mr. Bardo, can I mention something else? Nothing till page 30. 30, yeah, page 31. Hide into two separate buckets. You have buckets over at DHS, which references State Department materials and decisions, and the documents, or at least the reasons for them, are over at state and vice versa. So you have a universe of documents, and documents are their own universe, but the information isn't contained within that universe only, and that's what makes it complicated in my view. So I completely understand, and I'm open to your telling me by way, here's the true state of affairs. This is hypothetical, right? This is a true state of affairs, but the public's interest in knowing is reduced because if you dash dash, if we had to produce the CBP, I have no idea what that is, materials, or the DHS materials that wouldn't tell the whole story, the public doesn't have an interest in knowing the full story. So even if you think about this as the true state of affairs versus private interest, as you are, Judge Nichols, you may know that you may know that, but the production of the materials at issue here wouldn't disclose the true state of affairs. It would disclose the DHS half of it. I totally get that, and I'm open to that argument. I understand it completely. It seems to me, though, that thinking about even that argument, it's easier for me to think about the strength of it when I know the true state of affairs. So I'm not rejecting the argument at all. It just seems to me that like many of the arguments here is more easily weighed when I know everything. And so I'll leave it to the government to decide if it would like to do that. You have until May 10th to communicate however you would like, however you would like to propose, how you would like to proceed. Again, if you need more time past the 10th, please let me know. Yes, counsel, please, Mr. Pfaffenroth. I apologize, Your Honor. The court, no, please, Peter Pfaffenroth will obviously run this up the chain. The only points that I would like to add are, you know, that we're talking about state records, and as the court just correctly summarized, we're talking about records that are by statute exempt, and under relevant precedents, you know, Congress has already done the balancing there and waiting here. This case is unusual. Yes, it is. And frankly, more interesting than almost all FOIA cases because it's the interplay of immigration law and FOIA law. But I know that, you know, various judges of this court have not always been particularly enamored of the consular non-reviewability arguments, but the court is redacted 34. See? Aha. In whether Prince Harry or Sting or anyone else you can think of is prominent as a particular visa status. Anyway, I don't want to belabor the point. No, I get it. The court, sorry. Mr. Pfaffenroth, I know the court is well aware of all these interruptions. No, I know. I mean, certainly, my view is that we have ex parte discussions and ask for ex parte only in particularly unique cases. I don't like to do it. I know the government has a strong interest in not having it happen. It did seem to me that in this case, given the parade of hypotheticals that Heritage has laid out, some of which, at least in theory, could suggest that the information would have that would suggest information the public would have an interest in seeing about the government, that the better path for me was to understand the true state of affairs. And then that would be, I mean, just again, I said this a couple of times, but if all relevant information was at DHS, if we didn't have the state off to the side, and then I knew right now exactly what happened with all of these things, and the information again would be produced, if dash dash, because I have the defendant with all of the relevant records in front of me, and I would know that the production of these FOIA records would be 100% of the relevant information, and I had all that information, then I would be able to weigh the public's interest in knowing that against privacy concerns. What makes this unique is that we have added the added complication, really two things. Of course, the thing that we've been talking about, we can't see it by the way, which is the state status, but also that even an order requiring production of every single document here doesn't disclose the true state of affairs. But again, if you assume a counter hypothetical where all the information is here, then what I would like to know is an ex parte setting is an what I would like to know in an ex parte setting, is an order of disclosure would tell the public what happened, and I could say, does the public have much of an interest in knowing the picture versus privacy interest? And I was trying to sort of get to that point, not because I thought the public had an interest in knowing, I mean, to be really clear, and I know you just said this, but everything I've asked today is hypothetical. I'm not suggesting, guys, this is quite important, I think. I'm not suggesting that the public has one iota of interest in knowing any of this, because I don't know what actually happened. And that's the question for you guys to consider. And that's the question for you guys to consider, is whether I should. Mr. Pfaffenroth, the only other follow-up I have, Your Honor, is about timing. The court, yes, Pfaffenroth. because depending on how far we have run to this, people may want to read a transcript of the course questions, and I don't know how quickly we can get that. So if, but I don't want to put pressure on the court reporter. If we need to get back to you on May 10th. How about we do this? I'd like to know an answer by May 10th if possible. Right, I have amazing staff. Sorry, this is the court. I have amazing staff. As I've said recently, I probably don't say it enough, but I'm sure she will do her level best to get it to you as soon as possible if that's the case. Mr. Fafinroff, I appreciate that, yes. And in the court, and in the event that for whatever reason you say we need a little bit more time, just come back. Mr. Fafinroff, great. The court, I realize that whereas my original request for DHS information, of course, but this is asking for information from a non-party, at least obviously in a sense, and that may be more complicated than the prior request. So if you need more time, let me know, okay? Cool. Mr. Fafinroth, thank you, Your Honor. The court, all right, Your Honor. Sorry, Mr. Bardot, Your Honor. The court, yes. Mr. Bardot, would you like me to communicate with Miss Moore? I have no idea who this is. The court, yes, unless you decide you need to file something. In other words, I'm envisioning I sort of leave it to you to decide how you'd like to come back on May 10th. But as I've said before, if you say we've had a chance to confer, we would like another discussion with you, ex parte, Your Honor, then go to Miss Moore and tell her that, and she will set that up. But if you need an email that just says, yes, we'd like to submit an ex parte filing, can we have 30 days? Send it to her. If you want to submit something ex parte, that's A. We're not doing this, and here's why. Hypothetically, if it's a filing, then you don't need to do that. Mr. Bardot, I understand, Your Honor. Well, actually, maybe you have to anyway because it's be ex parte. So probably in all circumstances, you're going to go through Miss Moore. Okay, I understand. Thank you, Your Honor. Proceedings concluded. Lorraine. This was May 2024, and I know I ran very quickly. Let me get back to the top. So, in the United States District Court for the District of Columbia, Heritage Foundation plaintiff, civil action versus U.S. Department of Homeland Security defendant. Transcript of ex parte status conference before Honorable Carl J. Nichols, United States District Court. Appearances for the defendant, John Bardo, Mr. Pfaffenroth, DOJ. Reported by Lorraine T. Harman. Guys. So this was the nothing burger. I'm not a lawyer person. From the 3 pages or so we got out of it, I couldn't tell you what they were talking about. This is it, guys. This is the smoking gun. This is the visa information that will get Harry deported. This is it, guys. This is what the British media was orgasming all day. You see what I tell you about the terrible reporting? Everybody was saying Harry's visa records were coming out. Everybody was saying it. And it was nothing more. And this actually goes back to what I posted earlier. It wasn't even, I genuinely thought, because of all the reporting I was hearing, that it was going to be some redacted version of Harry's records. It's not. It's literally just, as the guy rightly said earlier, Ryan Mulvey, I think, just a highly redacted version of the court case. That's it, guys. That's it. This is the smoking gun. Look, sorry, let me come back here. I think we as a people, it's time that we start dragging. Again, I always say this in every video I have. Every day I look at the British monarchy, right? I just get embarrassed. I truly do. In fact, sorry guys, before I continue my train of thought, let me see if I can get it to summarize this. Let me see if it will do anything. So you see, more or less just said what First of all, AI is fantastic. Right. This is a generative AI summary of the entire. Let me just take this summary. I think I'll take this summary if I can. Let me see if I can copy it. I'm going to put this summary on a post of this with this case. This was a nothing burger, a waste of our time. And let me apologize for my post yesterday because I was losing my temper. I'm glad that common sense intervened. Whether or not you like Harry, whether or not you don't like Harry, people's personal information is personal for a reason. I don't know what Heritage's next move is now that they've been roundly humiliated. And the British press, who instead of doing their due diligence, and not just the British press actually, every online media that was using this as clickbait, all of you are absolutely shameful. And I hope this shows that like people like us, let me blow my horn a bit. It takes people like us, people with less than 2,000 subscribers, to actually dig into the tea and get the facts. Guys, please share, like, make available, please, so that we can build. This is what I'm saying, guys. This is exactly why we need to flood the algorithm. For every 10 articles that lie, people like us, people like Meredith Constant, people like Claire Kane, people like Zandy Sussex, people like us need to also counteract the bullshit. Since the British press and the hate hungry YouTubers are not going to, don't have any integrity, people like us need to step in. Thank you all for staying with me, and thank you for bearing with me. I'm an IT girl. I know nothing about legalese. I'm going to paste this generative AI summary in a post also promoting this post. Please like, please subscribe, please share. This was a nothing burger. Has nothing to do with Harry's personal information. It was literally just extremely redacted court proceedings. Thank you and have a good one. Bye.